Okay, there's one thing I want to do. I'm going to clap. You don't have to clap. See, now you clap. Okay, so that's just so that because I'm recording in one place.
Yeah.
And the video is in another, so
we're syncing the audio.
So when we're going in between scenes, we may have to do that too, just to get up. Yeah, sweet, yo. Yes, that's awesome.
I got you. I can clap.
Okay, that's very good.
That's a good intro.
How do you want to start this? How do you want to what are we going to do first?
Well, I think just to start, I think we need to establish an outline for what exactly our podcast episodes are going to look like going forward.
Okay.
So as to kind of let our viewers/listeners in on what's going on, but also for us to get us more comfortable.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Yeah, but first things first, why did we start this podcast?
Why did we start this podcast? I like to do podcasts, or I like to talk about stuff with you.
Yeah.
And it seemed the stuff that we talk about is interesting. At least we think it's interesting.
Yeah,
obviously. But it seems like it's interesting it would be interesting to people other than us, just us. I think.
I'd like to think so too. Yeah. I also just think that we are, while we are very introverted in public and things like that, but with each other we're very rambunctious and very passionate with each other. I think it's not often that a lot of people experience what we look like when we're getting into these super passionate moments, because we're not like that in public or with most other people.
True.
And so we're kind of videoing it and recording it. You guys can have a little inside look into what we're like.
Sure. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I see that. I think the conversations we have would be interesting to other people because we are intergenerational.
Yes.
Right. So
Gen X
and Gen Z.
Yeah.
So and the other thing is that we're two very different people.
We are.
Obviously, you are my daughter, but so you have some things that you're very much like me.
Yes.
But there's other things that you're an artist, which is dramatically different from me, who is an engineer.
Yes.
So that always makes for some interesting conversations and interesting perspectives, because we do view the world in some regards anyway, differently.
We do, yeah. But I think by talking about each other's different backgrounds in our industries and the things that we're interested career-wise, but also just any mundane thing through the perspective of an artist versus an engineer, I think allows us to look, for me personally, to look at technology through an artistic lens, and for you to look at art through a technology lens, but also kind of switch those two around. I think, I think also it's not something that I see a lot of my peers do with their parents.
That is an interesting thing too, because I don't know what kind of conversations parents and their children have. I honestly don't. I don't think, growing up, I didn't have deep conversations with my dad or mom for extended periods of time. And we talked about stuff, obviously, but it wasn't I know it isn't the kind of conversations that we've had, because part of it being my interest in your art, because it's so far outside the realm of how I typically think.
Yeah.
So it all, and because it's so different for me as a person who likes to learn things, it's always interested me trying to figure out and understand how your brain works, or how the artistic side of you works. Not that I don't understand how your brain works, because there's plenty of times when I see the way your thought patterns go. They are influenced by me.
Yes.
And mom.
Yes.
But they're also influenced by the artistic side of your brain that processes things in a way that I don't always understand, and especially when we talk about your art specifically, the art that you do, I don't know how you necessarily think of what you are going to draw, or why you would draw it, or any of those things. So
right, yeah. I mean, okay, well, you had said earlier that we have a lot of things, a lot of differences between each other, even though we are obviously related and similar in some senses. But something that we do definitely have in common is our something we do have in common is our desire to learn new things.
Okay.
I think, yeah, like you said it pretty perfectly. But I too am interested in learning about your perspective, how your brain works too, and how your brain processes art, like that. Like you and I have like gone to museums, or we've gone to like my school and seen like other people's like showings and exhibitions, and we've discussed them together. But like every time we do, I always ask you. I try not to like influence you as much as possible. I try to let you have your moment. I'm like, hey, Dad, what is your initial thought on this? And then you go into your. So it's a log. Oh, okay. Or this is a photograph.
No.
Okay, what do I do with this? And you turn to me for help, and I'm like, no, this is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, but that's true. There is like you have influenced the way that I've like that was obviously when in general when I would go with you to something, especially when we first would go, like that. Yes, that would be the way I would process things. It very literally, obviously,
Yes.
but you taught me to look. Or I've asked and you've explained to me how I should look at a piece, at least to some extent. I the one thing being what was the intent of the artist, right? That was one of the early on. The first thing I do is look for, and like you said, there's not many people to do this anymore, but putting an artist statement so that I try to understand what they're trying to convey.
Yeah.
Right. And part of working or listening to you, it's what was the artist trying to do, and did they do it well? What were they trying to communicate, and did they communicate it well? And that it helps you, or it helps you judge. I don't want to say judge. I don't mean to say judge as like judgy, but
Right, yeah.
but to like for myself, whether they actually executed on that on their intent, right? That's like I'm guessing the artist that's a good feedback for the artist, right? They would want to know if this was what I was trying to communicate, and did you get this from it?
Yeah.
If you're not conveying that well, then maybe you need to explore part of the way your art is coming across then, right? I would think that's valuable.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But then, there is always an intent behind an artist's work, whether or not they, like you had mentioned, not a lot of people, put out their artist statements or make them very abundantly clear, because a lot of artists these days just really lend themselves to let other people interpret and kind of do the work to figure out what their art means to them, which like is fair. That art is subjective. Art is meant to be interpreted. However, there is obviously an intent like behind it. Whether and the choice whether to display that intent or explicitly show what that intention is completely up to the artist alone. And so there are instances where you can definitely it's almost like a compare and contrast thing where you're like, okay, here's the art. I'm going to look at the statement, then I'm going to look back at the art and see. Yeah. But I think there is also value in not having an artist statement and just trying to figure out what the work means on its own or to you.
So obviously this is I'm thinking it's true because we talked about this in another thing that this is how we would have like segments in the show, and this would be the segment where we were discussing art and like art. And so this
right, we're getting a little
so we're supposed to describe what the segments are, but we're actually going into it, but that's okay. That's, it's an exemplary way of describing the show. So this is an example of what our first segment will be, or a segment about art will be like. Is we're just talking about art, and Dad's trying to understand what the hee-haw art is. So like I don't like that annoys me greatly when it's just like I put some art there and I want you to tell me what it means to you, because it's like that seems like for me it's a cop out, because it's like I could throw something on there on anything and and say, well, what do you think of it?
Sure.
That's my art. And that's like, it's where there is no, like for me, it's when there is no like skill behind. I don't see how something can be artistic without some skill behind it. I mean,
Sure.
I don't, I don't know if that's I'm guessing from the art that some art that I've seen, I don't know if how much skill is placed, what value skill is, what value is placed on skill.
Yeah.
Because sticking the banana, I'm going to my classic.
Yes, your favorite.
Sticking the banana on the wall with a piece of duct tape does not take any skill. So what, how do you as an artist, skill, how involved is skill? How much value do you place on skill? Sorry, this is going.
We're going off the rails, but hey,
right, this is us. This is how we do.
But this is how we are. I think that
we'll have to pull it back within 10 minutes or something, because it's going to be 50 minutes of us going.
I'll answer that question,
yes,
and then we'll go. I'm gonna stop the rails really quick. But yeah. And I think we can definitely further this discussion later on.
Yes. We'll come back to it. It'll be an evergreen discussion. I'm sure.
Sorry, what was the question?
What value do you place on skill in art?
Well, are you asking me as a viewer or an appreciator of art, or as an artist?
I don't know. Let's go with as the art. I don't want to be unfair to you, because get you in trouble by saying artists are not supposed to care about skill or
who's gonna get me in trouble?
I don't know, your peers. I don't know. Do your peers differ, or do you even know whether they care?
I don't care what people think. Okay. So whether they care or not,
okay, sure.
That doesn't matter, because I don't care.
Fair.
So.
All right. So as an artist, what value do you place on skill?
So
not for yourself, because you are very technical.
I was just gonna say.
So we'll flash a piece of your art up. We'll cut it, but we'll put something. So you are very realistic in such a way that you can be surreal, and I think we'll talk about your style later.
Yes.
But you are very technically gifted. That was what they all. I mean, when you were applying to art schools, they all said that there was nothing wrong with your technical ability, especially in drawing and stuff. That's your specialty.
That's my thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but what value do you, in others, what value do you place on others' technical ability?
So as an artist. Where do I place skill in levels of importance on other people's work?
Yeah, because So your favorite artists.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know who they are. We'll go. That's another good one to go over.
Oh, we'll talk about that.
But your favorite artists, are they technically do they have a high level of technical ability?
Yes, a lot of them do. Yeah.
Okay. Can you think of ones with mediocre levels of technical ability?
Sure. Yeah.
Of your favorite artists?
I have a few.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, So going back, the tech. How much value do you place in technical ability when you're looking at a piece or something like that?
It always. I think it always depends on the concepts that they're trying to convey. Because we talked about, you had mentioned this, how, what you deem as a successful piece of art based on how well they might convey a message.
Okay.
But not just how well, but how they convey it. Mm-hmm. What mediums they use to convey it, what technical or skills, what level they use to create it or manifest it, I suppose, on what surface, what format are they doing it. And so for instance, if there was there are a lot of very technically skilled artists, but if all they're doing is still life or observational kind of art, that to me isn't very interesting. Because it's just, okay, you're drawing something that's there. Okay, what are you saying about it? What context are you adding to it? You might find some value in maybe the techniques that they use in order to create that still life. Why are they using those specific colors? Those specific brush strokes or pencil or whatever mediums. But with art that's so based on technical ability, all you can judge is the technique. You can't really think much about the concepts about it, at least for me. But if there's somebody who's not very technically skilled, but wants to very well conveys an emotion or very well conveys some sort of message, and you get it immediately. That to me is something that is also not very great for me either. That to me is just okay. I know what it is now. There's nothing for me to explore.
Oh, okay.
That's
Interesting.
just okay. So there's a balance. I feel that there's a balance.
Oh, okay.
Like you.
No, we're gonna have to explore. It's got it's bringing so many things to my thought process of
Yes.
I don't the bluntness of the message or something along those lines,
Yeah.
right? I don't like I in my head, I can imagine what that means, but I don't know what that actually means. I mean,
Yeah.
in my head, I have a vision of
Yeah.
like if you make a chalk outline of somebody on a piece, I'm obviously you're talking about police violence or some kind of violence of some
Sure.
right.
Yeah.
That's obvious, right? That's overt and blunt. But is that I don't know if that's exactly the things you're talking about. We can talk
Sort
about
of,
what
yeah. Sort of, yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If the concept is obvious or
I
something.
have
like
examples that
Okay.
I've researched, and we're gonna have our own things. Which, by the way, to actually tell you guys what's going on here and what we're doing,
That. Yes.
which was what we were meant to do in the first place, but we got a little excited. So that's why we started this podcast. But now, as far as how we're going to conduct this podcast or conduct these conversations, we're gonna split it into 3 sections, like you just mentioned before. First section being the art section, where I'm gonna be in charge of I'm gonna be the conductor. I'm gonna moderate so that Dad doesn't go off on his,
Yes.
and so we don't get too sidetracked. And then you'll take the wheel in the second segment, which will be art as it relates to tech or STEM, because that's your field, that's your specialty.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay.
But then the third section,
section.
is going to be the pop culture section, and that's where we're both going to come in, because like we discussed, we're intergenerational, Gen X, Gen Z. We both have very different perspectives on the world based on how we grew up and the environment in which we grew up in, and there are current things happening in our world, in our digital world, that. You obviously are not very savvy to, or just like, okay, that's weird. And I'm over here like, I'm part of this generation that's created this, and it sucks. So it's basically just kind of a complaint section.
No, but well, I know. No. That's partially true.
Partially, yes.
Partially what that pop culture section. Part of it is like, I do know a fair bit of popular culture kind of things.
You do, yes.
Right, but there are some things that come along that confuse the hee-haw out of me.
Yes.
Such as the slang terms. We won't go into them now because we'll save those for the actual segment. But there's plenty of them, and I'm like, what? And then the way that your people,
my people,
your generation like sees things and like why they think certain ways.
Mm-hmm.
That and it largely comes through for me it comes in through YouTube, because I these weird things about your generation come through, and the way you guys think about things, it confuses me. But those are the kinds of things that I'm interested in talking about with you, and just your life things that I grew up thinking. And then how you and your generation think about these things.
Sure.
Right? Just the same thing.
Or if we even do think about those things.
Or if you even think, because sometimes you seem to.
Sometimes we don't do that.
you seem to have difficulty doing that. Your generation is really comfortable with contradicting itself in thought. Like you don't need to be logical, or the law of non-contradiction doesn't really apply to your generation.
No. We're also very narcissistic, I think.
Oh, that's
a big one.
Yeah. Very emotional feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we'll talk about that. So I just want to go back to the STEM section. So like the kinds of things that I'm thinking of doing for the STEM section is like there's all this stuff around AI, right?
Yeah.
Generative AI, the people people doing reports. Sorry, people doing reports using the like Chat GPT and AI
Yeah.
bots and things like that. And one of the things there's a lot of AI can create lots of fancy images,
Yes.
right? And so whether that is art, whether the images they create are art,
Yeah.
the other thing is images, photographs now, right? They're not, like, used to be film, and you could play with the exposures and shutter speeds and things to get effects for photography. But now you could just take that digitally, and then you can use Photoshop to get the effect that you want instead of doing it in manually,
Right.
with the mechanical nature of the camera.
Yeah.
So, like, and don't answer it now because we have a whole discussion, but you kind of hinted at it in our previous us talking thing. But like, one is mechanically manipulated, one is digitally manipulated. Are they both equally valid? Like, is it
analog versus digital?
Is it like, what are the does it just allow you to do more things, or is it not art anymore? Is
Right.
it like, if someone can make it, if I as a layman can come and take a picture of Yosemite in color and then turn it into black and white using Photoshop, am I now Ansel Adams? No, obviously not. But you see what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
like, that person specifically designed and set up shots to look a certain way, and if I replicate that with digitally, is that what value do you place on that? And what is the value of, and so one of the things you want to make a career of teaching art, just as a part of, like, introduction to yourself, right?
Oh, yeah,
What do
that's
you
right.
want to
We have to
do
do
with
that.
art? Like, what is your eye, like, how do you see, it's not an easy path to hoe, because the obvious stereotypical image is of the starving artist. So
Right.
how do you think that how would you like to make your bread and like feed yourself and house yourself with art?
Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, I've always wanted to be an art teacher. That's been something that I've had experience doing before. I've directed my own summer art camps, and I've been volunteering at various establishments to help teach kids how to draw. Cute stuff like that.
But you don't want to be a craft teacher, right?
No,
And
that's not what I'm saying. No, well, that's another thing. Like, even when I was directing my summer art camps, I never did crafts with them. I taught them in the way that I wanted to. Like, my personal motto for teaching is I always teach how to draw or how to paint, but never what to draw or what to paint. I give them the techniques, I give them the skills, and teach those things to them. And then what they do with those skills and what they do with those techniques, that is entirely up to them. I give them that freedom to figure that out. Of course, there are some students that do need, a little push or a little prompting to help figure out what it is that they want to do exactly. And I'm okay with doing that, but I'm not trying to be restrictive about it.
Okay.
So, yeah. But, I know that I want to teach art to some capacity. Absolutely. Which brings me to kind of my kind of stance on, like, who I want to be as an artist, which is, I think, like, at least, like, in kind of the modern realm of artists now, there's a lot of political artists.
Oh, sure.
There's
yeah,
a
that's
lot of
easy.
people-
Actually, that seems easy.
It's quite easy, exactly, yeah. But I don't want to do that.
Okay.
No, I think there's kind of this I don't know, stereotype isn't the right word, but connection between, like, artists and activists that a lot of people make, like art activism and things like that. I don't want to do that. I want to be an educator, not an activist. I want to release information, and I want to expose people to things through my work and through what I do. But I don't want I don't want to make people do anything. I don't want to control people and tell them, hey, this is my message, and my message is to tell you to go and do something with this information that I'm giving you. I just want to give you the information.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so in that vein, though, like, your pieces that
Yeah.
you want to educate individuals or students or some, right, or
Yeah.
at whatever age and at whatever
Yeah.
level. But
Yeah,
you're
that's-
saying you want to do your pieces. Now, do you want to sell your pieces, or do you want to make money through your pieces? That's one part of the equation that I never kind of discussed with you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've been doing commissions for the longest time. I still do. I
Yeah.
still, make portraits of people and their pets and their families and all that
Yeah.
cute stuff. Like, yeah, there are like simple ways for me to do that. Yeah, but I certainly do want to make money off of like my actual artwork rather than just my portraits or just like simple things that I do. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So
a good
you
one.
would. Do you have any? So I guess yet another avenue to explore. Like I'm an engineer, so I'm employed by somebody. I can obviously freelance or do a startup or something on my own, or there's multiple ways that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know the mechanics of how do you sell your pieces or how do you get your pieces into a gallery or all those things.
Yeah.
Do you have? And like I said, we don't need to go in, but this is something to us to talk through because I'm interested, and I'm sure other people are interested in
Right, in
how
the
that process,
industry, yeah.
in that industry. I'm definitely interested. And maybe I'm you're just in college, so I'm sure you don't know all the ways,
No,
and
of
so
course not,
maybe
yeah.
that's an avenue for us to explore or you to explore at some point is to interview people who
Yeah.
have pieces in galleries, who have sell their work that aren't just can you paint my dog who died last year?
Yeah.
Makes me sad, but I really would like that.
Sure,
Right,
sure.
right. There's lots of those, right? Those are like that one actually I could see being replaced by AI, right? That's the kind of thing, right? That
Yeah.
is really like those kind of just sentimental easy thing, I don't know.
Sure.
I'm just thinking of sorry. I don't know. So going back to the tech side of things,
Yeah.
like how tech influences the other one that I want to discuss with you. So I have a whole list, but the other thing I want to talk to you about is like the AI. Like there's been two places where AI has won art shows.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested in to hear what you think of that. And it's still once again art generated by computer or digitally, what that means. And you're also just so people know, you aren't a digital artist.
No.
You're explicitly not a digital artist.
Yes, I'm anti-digital.
Yes.
If you want to put it that
Yes.
way.
Well, yes.
I don't do anything digital.
Yeah, I mean, we gave you we bought you the first iPad, the giant iPad, then you could play with and use the the pencil
Yeah.
and draw, and you did some stuff, and it's like not you.
It was
And
cute to try, yeah, but it wasn't.
it's-
Like you said, it wasn't me.
It's
It
not
wasn't
your
my
thing.
style. No.
And I guess the other thing too, like when we talk through this stuff, your thought process of how people should understand you as a analog artist. Sorry,
Analog,
I'm a nerd.
traditional,
Yeah,
sure.
I'm a nerd, so I could say analog. You could say traditional or
Either one of those.
mechanical or whatever kind of art.
I'm a mechanical artist. Yeah, sure.
It's like physical. I say
Sure.
physical artist. I don't know.
There are a lot of words for it.
Yeah. But the thing, like the standard assumption is that every artist today is a digital artist. Or I don't know if everybody thinks that way, but especially in Silicon Valley where we are,
Yeah.
that's largely what everyone thinks. It's like the assumption is that if you do art, you're going to do graphic arts and digital art, and you are going to be a designer or work for Adobe or whatever,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, and even if art isn't necessarily created digitally, it is often displayed on a digital space.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's
So-
an interesting way to think about too.
Yeah.
But that's really that, and yeah, we should talk about that because that's a really so there's like places there's this company called Masterworks. They sell art. Like you buy into art, and then it's an investing platform for art.
Yes.
But the thing is, like they have paintings that you invest in. It's all online, right? Mm-hmm. But like you said, like they have to have a picture of the piece and someone's standing next to it. So you don't even know how big the piece is that you're going. Like when something is displayed digitally, you get no physical understanding of what. There's no physical interaction with it at all. And so,
good word.
And you're like, so it's like, are you really? Is it really? It's not even close to the same thing. I mean, I would imagine that, from a non-artist opinion, it's dramatically different.
Yeah, well, I agree with you absolutely. It's I think also just through my own experience as an artist, physical space in an exhibition, in a gallery, in just a room, anywhere is so important and vital to what makes an artwork work, because it's not just how it's presented, but where it's presented, when it's presented, how it's all these other external elements that can very, very rarely be shown digitally. I think not just shown but also experienced, like you said. It's vastly different just looking at an image just on a tiny little square versus right in front of you. Yeah.
Makes sense. And then there's no depth to it. There's no three dimension to that. I'm guessing. Therefore, we could get into the metaverse argument of art. I don't know if I even want to go there. We have so many things to talk about. So then, but like what came to mind when you were speaking about that is when we were touring the first time we toured Cal Arts, that the discussion of the person who had a photography exhibition. Yeah. And it was about war. Yeah. And they incorporated lighting with like flashing lights during conflicts. Yeah. And then the sound. Did I say sound first? Yeah. So machine guns and sound and explosions, and then lighting. Dark flashing light. I mean that's those kind of exhibitions, installations, whatever you call. You'll have to. Tell me what the differences are. But like those kind of things can't be replicated online because those are two different mediums at this point, right? You're like you could create something online that does that as art, but there's also something different that if you're doing it in real space, in meat space, as they say.
Yeah.
Then it's real different.
And it's not even just about looking at an art image, but it's also like there's such a huge difference between like reading the PDF of a book versus reading and like flipping through a page holding a book.
Yeah, you're going to tell me about Junji Ito. What that thing? But we'll talk. That's yet another one. That's another big.
No, I mean like that is like I feel like it kind of goes between art and pop culture. But it's I think it's something that a lot of people are talking about now in regards to the manga is better than the anime argument. I think that's kind of a big thing that I think.
Well, I want to get into. That's interesting. I've been watching anime since I was young, right? Old school stuff. But like I didn't even know. That's a pop culture thing. I didn't even know was going on. That people argue about that because they're two different things, right? And so I don't know why you would argue about. I don't exactly know. Like why you would argue about that because The Godfather, there's a book, The Godfather, the original book, and then there's the movie. Those are two different things.
Yeah.
And so, and Lord of the Rings, that the books are different from the movies. They're two different things. So like, typically, I mean, if you want to, yes, the book is typically better than the screenplay adaptation because it can go into it goes into different details, obviously.
It goes into different details, but also I think what books or non-visual books allow you to do is really let your imagination flow.
Yes.
And I think and movies, obviously when they take inspiration from a book, they're going to visualize it in their own way.
Yes.
And there are going to be people that are going to criticize it because it's not the way that they wanted it to look or the idea that popped into their head of how it was going to look.
Exactly.
Which is fair.
Yes.
Which is fair. Art is subjective. You can think what you want to think, but you can't. It's not necessarily fair to compare. Because this is the movie's, not movie adaptation, but the movie's or the director's translation or...
and they have constraints that they have to live within, right? Because a book typically could take, I mean, like Lord of the Rings, they did... They had the Lord of the Rings, the actual Lord of the Rings series has 3 books.
Yes.
and they made 3 movies.
Yes.
Then they took The Hobbit, which is like smaller than any of the 3 books, and they made that book into 3 books, and they added all kinds of crap on top of it. I didn't even watch that thing because it was so like, this is not the book. And the book was actually a children's book. The Hobbit is a children's book, and it's not that violent and all. It's supposed to be fun and like little lighthearted, but the translation of those two, or the
or
interpretation of the
that was the word
is like, the interpretation can be really
weird.
really weird, but it's also influenced. I guess what I want, it's like influenced by a lot of different factors, especially for movies, right?
Yeah,
because typically an author has a vision and they are sole. I don't know. Have there been any successful books that were written by more than one person? Right, but for a film, there's all kinds of people influence it. Right, there's a screenwriter. There's the person who if there's original, like Lord of the Rings or whatever, if there's original source material, if there's there's the director, then even the director gets influence from the cinematographer, and then they all are subject to the actual production company who's giving them money. Yeah. And if they can't fit the thing in, you're like, oh, can't do that. We can't have only one take at this because we can't afford to shoot this more than, or we only have 1 day left, or whatever. Yeah. So they have all different kinds of constraints versus an author has, if they never finish the book, no one's yelling at them. All right. So it's their piece of art that isn't constrained by time or finances necessarily.
Right.
So, yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. Sorry. We went yet again off. Dad took us somewhere. Right. So that's what the audience will recognize, is that Dad typically goes in the weird direction.
Dad goes and I just kind of follow along. And then I'll sometimes reel us back in if there's something that I really want to get into. But then if I don't have anything, I'm like, okay, Dad's going off. Let's see where this takes us. Let's see what happens. I mean, it's entertaining for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm always, that's the thing. I have lots of many and varied interests and like to learn stuff. And so I can go in different directions. So, yeah.
Yeah. I like learning things. I like talking to people and learning from those conversations with people. So, and obviously you're my dad. I learn a lot from you. So. Yeah, this is just another vessel, I think, for us to learn more about each other.
Okay.
Learn more about each other's interests and our opinions and our perspectives and how we think.
Okay.
Why we think the way we think.
The last thing is we keep hinting at it, but so an example of the pop culture.
Yeah.
Pop culture generational conversation.
Yes.
So I will do the favorite one that we've been throwing around but haven't really thoroughly discussed.
Yeah.
But it's rizz. I heard it. I watched this.
I was going to ask where you first heard it. Yeah.
So I was I do watch lots of YouTube because I watch lots of finance things on YouTube. So, but I also so just I guess as a thing, we're Lutherans.
Yeah.
You're still Lutheran. You go to a weird art school, so I always double check with you.
I do go to a weird art school, but I am a Lutheran.
Okay. And yes. And so I'm also politically, you would say you would call me a conservative or someone if someone was going to label me. So there's
Sure.
I get all kinds of conservative stuff into my thing because I actually think about things. So sorry.
Ooh, that's a very conservative thing to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
So well, really, it's my emotions. This will be a fun one. At some point, we'll talk about emotions and how Dad says I have them, but I choose not to
indulge in them
or process. I can process them, and then I choose what I do with them.
Sure.
I may, So, anyway, what came through my feed one time was this discussion of rizz, and I was like, what the heck is this?
Who was discussing it?
It
alpha
was
males?
No, it was this girl. Her name is Brett Cooper. She's she's
the comment section.
yeah, the
with
comment
Brett
section.
Cooper.
Yes,
Yeah, that
yes.
lady.
And they were
Ben
talking.
Shapiro
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
girl.
Yes, they say I don't. Anyway.
She kind of does. She kind of
Anyway.
does.
So then she was talking. There was some TikTok thing about no, it's like a Vice panel or somebody with with a bunch of people saying I have rizz, and they're trying to six guys are deciding who has the most rizz kind of thing. One of those ones. One of those ones. So
that
she's
wasn't Vice. That was like Cut or Jubilee or one of those weird.
One of those ones we'll have to watch together as part of these sections, so you can explain.
I think. Well, okay. There's one particular video that we'll definitely have to watch together.
Okay, so these guys are talking about rizz and who has it amongst themselves.
I've seen this, yeah.
Okay, and then she was like, "No, you don't have it because you're talking about it, and so if you have it, you don't need. If you have rizz, you don't have to say you have rizz, kind of thing."
Yeah.
Is that true? I don't know what you mean by it, so I don't know if that's actually go. So go.
So just for everybody to understand, rizz is short for charisma.
Yes.
That's what that is.
Yes.
This is okay, and I'm saying this so emphatically because a lot of people, it's not necessarily just a Gen Z thing. It's just something that a lot of people, adolescents do when they hear something that's funny or that garners a lot of attention, and then they repeat it, and it garners that same attention. They're like, okay, cool. That's all they care about is that attention. They don't think about what that word means and how it actually affects people, other than funny, entertainment. So,
that's a good way to describe everything.
But yeah, and this is in no way defending my generation. This isn't defending, people and just being like, they're young, they're being young, they're being stupid. No, it's stupid. It's still stupid. It's still something that my generation does. But it's also what a lot of, I'm just saying, it's something that a lot of other people have done at some point in their lives. They've heard something funny or I don't know, are you an exception?
No, I'm just like no. It's like I can think of that happening in Gen X, but it's like everything else. It snowballed with the millennials. Oh sure. And then you guys have taken it to the next level.
Oh yeah, we have.
Yes. So go ahead. Sorry.
But no, so rizz. I hate saying it. But yeah. So the whole. First of all, there's obviously a clear difference between charisma and rizz.
Yes,
it's that
there has to be, right?
Charisma, you don't say charisma. You don't say you have charisma, but everybody says that they have rizz or they don't have rizz.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that's true.
Yes,
okay,
so that person who was saying, hey, if you have rizz, you don't have to say it. You just have it. They're technically right. They just don't say rizz, dude. That's just weird. No, it's
But so is charisma is is it like so is rizz going back, is rizz just related to charisma in the
relationship context,
in the female male attractiveness or attraction realm?
It's applied to a lot of different ways. It's at this point though that again, there's never definitions. There's never concrete definitions of it.
So that is one thing.
Hold on.
Okay, sorry.
Before you go into your thing, let me
go.
That was just me starting.
Okay,
that wasn't my ending statement. Okay, hold on. This is what I have to do. So yeah, so like I said, there's never a definition when it comes, because again, people are thinking about how funny the word is and the funny effect that it has, not what it actually means. So the definition of technically of charisma is you have an air about you, you have something about you that pulls people in, whether that's attraction or whether it's generally just like, oh, that person is interesting, I want to talk to them, I want to listen to what they're saying because they seem like an interesting person, that sort of thing. But in the context of rizz and that video that you had seen where those people were like, hey girl, what's up?
That's right. That's what they did.
That's what they were doing, right?
They had the guys go up to girls and show off their rizz.
Hey, yo, I couldn't help but, see you over there. Did you, fall for... You So but that's another thing. It's the format of the video that also adds to the context of rizz, which is that it's a competition now. That video was 6 guys competing to find out who has the most rizz. It's never who has rizz, it's who has the most rizz or who has the least rizz. But it's not even about who has the most rizz or charisma or whatever. It's who gets the most bitches or who gets the most girls or who gets the most.
But then didn't that now isn't that here's what I'm hearing is that it's almost become just a synonym for game.
Yes, it is. But like I said, that's in the relationship thing. But like I had said before, it extends into other areas where it's are you just an interesting person to talk to? Are you somebody that people will listen to?
Yeah.
Or like enjoy or catch a good vibe from? That sort of thing.
But that is charisma.
That is charisma. But people say rizz.
They do say that for that too.
Yes.
Okay. I just want.
But it's more commonly used, obviously, in the relationship competitive like dating world sort of thing.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay. So okay.
At least that's how it is.
Well, that like I said,
it's shown on the digital space.
Yeah.
So
okay. That's what I'm saying.
I personally don't think about it, so
Okay.
I don't care.
That's good. No. Like I said, it seemed like just like I understood rizz as short for when you or Mari told me it's short for charisma. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, but the way that they used it just seemed like another word for game. That's totally. And so I thought you guys I'm like, oh no, you bastardized another word.
Which I mean, like, okay, it is.
Now is charisma.
I think it is technically fair to say that charisma is an aspect that goes into somebody's game, I guess.
Yeah.
Like personality obviously has to go into it. Confidence has to go into it. Sure. But call it that. Don't call it rizz.
Okay.
Call it confidence. Call it charisma. Call it personality, whatever. Just also, people are just attracted to whoever they're attracted to. Like, don't try and do all these, like, weird things to, like, make yourself look better. It's weird. It's just, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't know. Like, if a dude came up to me we'll have to watch that video. But if anybody came up to me in the way that any of those dudes from that video came up to me, no,
you'd walk away.
I'm tasing them. No, that's not. No, go away.
Well, but okay, yeah.
That's
well,
just
no.
weird.
That we'll have to talk. I'm interested in talking about that. The whole. I mean, like dating and where you meet people kind of thing. That's kind of. I don't know. I don't know what you. Yeah. Anyway, I don't understand that. Well, yeah. Anyway. Okay, so so that's an example of our pop culture section, like generational conversation section, because like
you're confused about something.
I'm
that
confused
my
about
generation
it, and then you're mad about it. Actually, I'm probably mad about the inanity of the thing.
Yeah.
Like usually because it's like you say narcissistic or something. But
yeah,
that's definitely an example of how those conversations go between us. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
I learned something, and then I can make you mad, or you can make me mad.
Somebody gets mad. Yeah.
I don't. The thing is, like, for us,
Well,
like
I don't know
if you
if
talk about it, us when we're talking, and mom always gets worried about it. But typically, it's not that we're mad at each other. We just get passionate about. We're like, it's like we get into the thing,
We're
and
very
it gets
passionate, intense.
and my voice goes up when I'm not yelling at you, but my voice gets louder when I get excited.
Yeah, which like that's a natural thing for people to do.
Yeah, but I think mom goes. Yeah, when dad does it, dad gets very loud.
I've gotten that before. Like a lot of people are like, "Okay, calm down, girl." Like, are you? I'm just excited to talk about this thing.
Yeah,
and they're like, "Calm down." I'm like, "Okay, fine. I guess it's not socially acceptable to be loud." Oops.
Yeah, but I get it when I'm excited about something, and that's why we get loud because it's always something that we wouldn't be talking. I guess the good thing about what the relationship we have is that we do get excited when we talk about stuff.
Yeah, but we understand. We have a mutual understanding that we're not angry with each other.
Yeah.
We're just angry about a subject that we are passionate about talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So to wrap up this first episode, whatever you want to call it.
I don't know.
Like, or this introductory kind of thing. So you mentioned it when we were talking about doing this podcast, but So why did you want to do this? Why did you want to have this podcast?
So I think, yeah. So you had said it before, how I think our conversations can be interesting to other people, but as well as have an entertaining aspect. But also, what was it? I had it. Where'd it go? Where did it go?
It's okay.
It left me. Yeah. So yeah, you had pretty much wrapped it up. Essentially towards the beginning, where yes, this was a vessel for us to communicate and have conversations about our different industries, but also this could open up as a vessel for others to come in and talk. So we can have. We're also looking to have interviews with other people, other artists, other tech people. I don't know.
I don't think you want.
We'll find people.
I'd be more interested. I think the thing about this is like I don't need it to be a tech show. And I don't think you're.
We've had enough tech.
The thing about this is the more interesting thing is me trying to understand the art world rather than you trying to understand the tech world, because
yeah, it is. It is definitely more of a I'm taking you on
yeah, and
this
that's
road.
good. And like yeah, because my interest is like so my other thing is about me, as I've been working in computers for in the industry for 30 plus years, also been programming since I was 8 years old. So I've been doing so. Like I would bore you if we tried to go through all the things that I've gone through. But I know, but you're passionate about your art.
Yeah.
And
I've also been doing that since I was 8.
Yes. And I'm interested in your art.
Yeah.
And then I can find ways to bring in the STEM side of thing into art. I can bring topics on STEM that relate to art. And then the other me being thoroughly confused by your generation. Then so it's a lot about me trying to understand things. And then maybe we can bring in an artist that we can both interview and talk to, because you would have actual art person questions, and I would be like, I don't understand this conversation you two are having. Help me understand.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And yeah, because I am interested in, because the interesting thing, or the thing is, for me as well, is being able to talk to you and your sister both, making sure I can always talk to you, because I always want you both, before you make big decisions in life,
to think,
but also I'd like it to think that you would come and ask your advice of your dad, because he thinks about these things and he knows you because he's talked to you.
Yes.
Right. And so I understand, if you're making decisions about your life, and we're not going to go through those decisions on this podcast.
No,
I'm just saying, but as a general, having conversation and understanding your context and understanding your, how, the ins and outs of your world can help me when we have actually family discussions to okay, we can have discussion and I understand you better. And because we have these conversations, you feel comfortable coming to me.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah.
So this, I think this is a mutual kind of help podcast as well. It is helping you understand me and understand my world, understand art, understand my generation, how weird we are, all that good stuff. But yeah, it's also to help me think more, because I just personally am a person that learns a lot through talking to other people, to myself. I need to say or do something in order to think things through or learn about things. So that's why art is my medium. That's why I'm very passionate about it, because that is my way of expressing myself and thinking things through. And this is why I'm also interested in doing this podcast, because I like talking about things, because saying them out loud grounds me and allows me to think more clearly about those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. That's very cool. Okay. So I'm trying to think. I don't know how to end the thing.
I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out.
Well, we have to figure out how to start the thing and end the thing. But
yeah.
But yeah, no. This was we did what we were. this is probably how it's going to always be. It's like
Yeah.
we're going to mostly talk about something, but we're also going to drift into here and in there because
like we came in here like, okay, we're gonna introduce what our podcast is about, and then it turned into, so what's Rizz about?
so yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
so-
like it's we'll have a direction that we're trying to go to, but and we'll kind of stick to it, kind of.
I don't know.
We kind
We'll
of got
just-
there.
Yeah.
We had 3
Well-
segments.
Yeah,
And we-
no, which is why like we'll have our notes with us, like like I had like little talking points here, and
That's
like
good.
like obviously they're not in a specific order, but like I wanted just to make sure that we got through.
Did you get all through the things
Which
you
we
wanted?
did.
Oh,
We did. Yes, I made
Okay.
sure that we did, which is why there was a point where I was like, Dad, stop so I can speak on this thing.
That sounds good. Your mom will be happy because she's like, all you're gonna do is talk over your daughter. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, so I'm like, no. Like,
Hey, I'm gonna be talking over you most
okay.
of this.
That's okay.
So yeah.
All
We'll,
right.
we'll balance each other out. It's fine.
I don't know. Okay, so that yeah, sounds good. I don't
Sounds like a plan, dude.
yeah. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Emmy.
Thank you, Dad.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
We will figure it out.